And they go on. So we stop with the animal kingdom and go on with man. Man has more mind left to investigate. The next thing we come to, because of the soul's attachment or influence, is that man has awareness. This awareness finds its influence or expression, as we said, in the left side and some of the right side of the frontal lobe of the brain. This is where you seem to do all your thinking, and where all that you can become aware of enters your awareness. In other words, the manifestation of is in the logical, mathematical, rational side of the brain, with a little bit of the intuitiveness allowed to creep in, is what they're saying. And that's where you seem to do all of your thinking, and this is where all of your awareness enters in. And they go on and say, this is where you are, as far as you can tell, or at least that's what you've been taught. Now here again, they say, all these little things that they slide in. This is what you've been taught. This is where you are. They go on and say, that being so, the next step in the argument of those who serve is very obvious. If you can't see it, touch it, smell it, hear it, taste it, it must not exist. And you cannot see Father, love, kindness, caring, in the whole range of the mystical art. So they must not exist. Only new cars exist. Only new houses exist. Only jewelry exists. Only large bank accounts exist. Only the right toothpaste, lipstick, aftershave, hair dye exists. Now, who or what would profit from that kind of lie? And they say more later, and you know when, if it's ever written. So is that it? Man has karma and the conscious thought that the animal doesn't? Is that enough to make man different than the animals and enough to explain the total man? Is that the sum total of the model of man we're trying to create? So here they are saying, okay, you've got it all. Do you have it all now? You got the whole keyboard? And they say, no. The problem again is that as we go on up the scale of the mind, man's awareness does not go on with us, and we are back to the subconscious state of unawareness. In other words, generally you're thinking that the subconscious is the lower levels. Here they're saying that we dealt with the lower levels, then we came to the conscious state, man's awareness where it is, and then all of a sudden they're saying, oh, mind goes on. There's more to it than that, but now you're back to the unconscious state again. And what in the world is this? What are they saying? They're saying that the mind goes on to higher levels, but your consciousness doesn't. So then they go on and say, going on up the scale of this mind of man, we find a myriad of influences, all relating to the spiritual or mystical, as man would call them in his limited understanding. They all have their influence in man in the area behind the frontal lobes. Now, this influence, this expression they're saying is behind the frontal lobes, between the frontal lobes and the midbrain. Again, you have to go into the brain structure to find out where that is, but that is the place, that is the expression. That's where it is, that's where it finds its expression. And then they say, we will group them as an aid to understanding. And what they're saying there is we're going to take all of these influences and group them all together so that it'll be easier for you to understand rather than trying to separate and show you how each one influences. We're just going to put them all together. So they start out with the first part of that group that they're grouping together. And they say, there is the influence of those who are earthbound and cannot seem to get on and away after death. And they say we discussed those in the steps of death, and you remember those ones hanging around that couldn't leave the earth influence. They hang around trying to influence any who would allow. They bring woe to those who try to meditate without proper instruction. And they say proper, not expert. Those who drink or drug themselves get blown away. And those who just leave their bodies without instructions to the guardian. Did you get that? They do so much of this stuff. They bring woe to those who try to meditate without proper instruction. They bring woe. They bring woe to those who drink or drug themselves, get blown away. They bring woe to those who just leave their bodies without instructing the guardian. Now, there are a lot of you that don't even know what they're talking about here. Meditate without proper instruction. That was proper, not expert. They're saying, not expert instruction, please. Proper instruction is what they're after. What are they saying? Well, this is an area that I do know again. Proper instruction, meditate inward, never seek outward. Don't drink or drug yourself to get blown away. You leave the door open. Those things hanging around can enter. Those who just leave their body without instruction to the guardian. What instruction to the guardian? What guardian? If you're going to leave your body, you have to instruct your guardian. This place is mine. Let no one enter save that which would be on my side. That's the instruction. Let no one enter here. This is my abode. You're not welcome. You must leave. That's the instruction to the guardian. If you have to leave, and as you venture inward, you're not leaving, but there are circumstances where perhaps in your development you might leave your body. There is instructions that you can give to the guardian. Actually, you shouldn't be doing that until you know those rules. It's one of those things that slow, careful development gives you a well-rounded understanding. And best of all, those who would will leave the sphere of influence, moving on as was their design. And those left, they will finally have their dominion. But over what? Is the effort worth the results? We think so. If you agree, then let's go on with our understanding of man and what he is. We have given you the sources of emotion that influence man. Man must spend time understanding these sources and what form these influences take. We need to know when we are under the influence. And they're saying that probably one of the critical points in the discussion, and that is we need to know when we are under the influence of what? Under the influence of emotion, under the influence of the persona, under the influence of what? We need to know when we are under the influence and what we're under the influence of. Why do we need to know that? Because if you're under the influence of the monkey, as some people get one, for instance, if they've lost their temper, and that's a monkey thing, so they've lost their temper and they're under the influence of the monkey, you're going to be in trouble. And if you know that you're under the influence of the monkey and understand that we haven't risen above that and that we still are influenced by those things that any monkey would be, then you can maybe look at that and say, no, I don't want to go there. I don't want to be under that influence. I got to get control of that because that's the monkey. That isn't, the monkey isn't, only the monkey isn't me. It isn't only the monkey that's you. It's the monkey and the persona. It's the path that you're taking here and the path that you're going to take when you leave here. So you have to have those two things in mind. And maybe the event that caused you to lose your emotions is a teaching thing that if you get control of your emotions will help you to learn the lesson and thus get you off faster. So all of a sudden all of the morality of losing emotion changes to self, changes to where am I going? Where am I headed? Where do I want to be? It isn't a matter of, some nebulous God somewhere said that I should do this, but he's not looking right now, so I'm not going to. It's, where am I going? Where do I want to go? Do I want to go back to Father? Do I want to see the wonders of creation? Do I want dominion? Do I want power? Do I want the tickle? All the time, same question, over and over again. And that's what they're pointing to here, is that you need to know when the monkey's got control of you and take it back. When maybe some other human being has control of you and you need to take it back. That's the common quest here, is who has control, what's controlling me, And as you begin to ask that question in your life, you begin to realize there are things that have control of me, and I don't like it. I want control. I want to make the choices. And what are your choices? Dominion, or back to Father, back to seeing the rest of Father's creation. Two choices, see. And when you begin to understand that, it changes a lot of what you do.